Today's show is sponsored by Tweezy R. So Alan, if you want to do some upkeep between eyebrow threading sessions or your next trip to the chiropodist, having a reliable set of beauty implements in your medicine cabinet comes in handy.
I've not been one for plucking my eyebrows, Mark, but as I've got older, I've noticed those nostril hairs and toenails are getting harder to deal with.
Yeah, me too. It sounds like you need Tweezy R beauty implements. They're surgically engineered, perfectly balanced and sharpened, and made from surgical-grade stainless steel.
All I need now is a lifetime warranty.
Well, now you mention it, Alan. Not only are they unparalleled in quality, they also come with a lifetime warranty. Seriously? As long as you've not lost or abused them, fill in the warranty form when you purchase your Tweezy R surgically engineered tweezers and they'll be replaced for free.
To order your Tweezy R surgically engineered beauty implements, go to tweez-er.com and enter the promo code Expats10 at checkout and receive 10% off your order. So what brought you out here in the first place 20 years ago?
Well,
It must have been a quiet place back then.
I've got a cousin that lives here. He lives in Iluka. And he said to me, come out and go backpacking. And I said, yeah, all right. So I came out and he invited me invited this girl over to the house that he knew, and we pretty much ended up together. So I didn't really do any backpacking. I was like, oh, what happened? I didn't intentionally want to come to Australia. I was going to go to America next. Then because of that, I met her. And
So is that who you're with now then?
yeah. We've been married 22 years.
So you come over, your cousin introduced you to this girl, and that's it?
Yeah.
I probably show my ignorance here, but I look at 20 odd years ago must have been just beach shacks, and there was nothing.
Yeah, oh God, yeah, Perth was way different then.
Yeah, that must have
None
been.
of this was
that
here.
must have been it. Well, this was sand when I got here, so.
Because when I went back to the UK and came back, so I came back in 2002, my cousin had just had his house built in Iluka, and after Iluka there was nothing. I can't believe how much the city's grown.
Oh, it's incredible. Even since we've been here, it's
Yeah,
incredible how big it's
mate,
got,
if you've seen it 20 years ago to now, you're like, wow,
I
New York.
played golf with a guy, and he came over in 87 or something like that. I've not played with him for a while, I suppose. He's a good lad, but he came over and says, Perth was... He came over like a 13-year-old kid. He says, totally different, completely. He says, you would hardly believe it's the same place. It's just so different.
It's grown so much. I remember when I came here, there was about 1.2 mil in the city. There's what now, two and a bit. I was surprised how many people here drive automatics, and they only got an automatic license. I just don't get that.
I mean, I only drive. I love automatics. I'll never go back to a manual just because
I'm the same.
I never drove one until coming here.
Yeah,
and then I got
Same.
one. I got one. I'm like, oh my god, this is just amazing. But to learn only on an automatic, I think it's stupid.
Yeah, I just don't get that at all.
Have you done any adventuring since you've been here? Since
I've
you've
been
had 20
everywhere,
years?
mate. Yeah, mostly out of the country though. It's
Is
cheaper.
it the same like because you've been here so long? If you go on holiday, you just want to get out of Australia.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
My wife's same. Like we want to go. Well, to be honest, you've got to go on holiday in Australia at a minute because you can't leave, can you?
Yeah.
But like, we want to go on holiday, but I'm saying I'd sooner jump on a plane somewhere and go somewhere else.
Yeah, me too.
And I've never been over East or anything. All the tourist spots in Australia. If I weren't here, I'd probably think, well, I want to go to them and see them all. But now I'm here, it's like, can I be bothered?
To be honest, you're like everywhere I've been in Australia, it all looks the same anyway.
Doesn't feel any
It
different.
all looks like Perth.
They look similar. But Adelaide to me looks like Glasgow. It's just...
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's just...
Adelaide?
Adelaide's just like Glasgow. Right in the middle of it. It's all granite buildings or big stone buildings anyway. And it's on squares. So you just walk around. You turn 3 times, you're back to where you were. And that's exactly like the layout of Glasgow. The city centre anyway, obviously.
Yeah.
The only place I find different is Melbourne. It's very European.
Yeah, it does look nice. I've got like a niece that lives there, and my daughter, like Mia, my daughter, she wants to move to Melbourne. Like she's only 15. I want to go to Melbourne.
Yeah.
I think because it looks cool.
Yeah.
Or maybe because it does look a bit more European. And I suspect there is probably a bit more going on over there as well. City, innit?
It's more for people in their 20s. Because all my nephews and nieces live there, and one is a DJ. And
What do you do for a crust?
I do property maintenance. I do mostly landscaping and gardening. I work for a lot of real estates and stratas. And
I do roof maintenance.
yeah.
So I do for like Bristile and like Dale Alcock. Well, ABN Group. And then private work as well. But I don't want to do it forever.
Yeah. I'm getting like I'm nearly 50 now, mate. So I'm getting to that point now. I'm like, yeah, it's starting to get a bit hard now, especially in the summer.
Is that why the songwriting's been kicking in?
I'm actually writing a book.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
What on?
I've almost finished it. It's like a horror, kind of a horror book.
Fascinating. What made you get into thinking I could write a book?
Because I've always written songs and stuff. I know I've started writing books before. I've got like 2 or 3 half-finished books.
Right.
I've done over the last 10 years, and this one I just thought, it's a really good story, so I'll kick into it and finished it.
So is it like a unique horror?
Yeah.
I
Can't say too much.
To be honest, I like it. My favourite genre in movies is horrors.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, see, I'm completely the opposite. I
love them.
But it's basically, the story is, how can I put it? It's like school bullying gone bad, grisly.
Right. So sort of Carrie-esque kind of thing.
In a way.
Yeah.
Because then it's got a paranormal twist as well.
Right.
that's even better. That.
So
Interests me. That's good. Yeah, well, listen, best luck with
when
that.
I finish it,
That's
mate, you can have a copy.
Yeah, look, I would definitely read it, Neil. It's not my genre at all, I have to say. I don't mind reading stuff, but it's on the TV half the time when you're watching it. I like a movie. It's just, keeps you on the edge of your seat, maybe a bit of thriller and stuff. But when you start cutting arms off,
Yeah, I
and
don't
blood
like
stuff,
that
it's
stuff,
come on,
mate.
what's the point of that? That's not. I want to be scared. I don't want to be like,
It's like those Saw movies. Why would you watch it?
yeah, it's exactly.
I
not
don't.
that type of book.
I don't like that kind of horror. I mean, I think I probably more like paranormal horror.
Yeah.
Something
I'm the same.
Something
kinda
that's,
spooky.
something that's scary,
Yeah.
not gory, but
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're scared to read the next page because you know there's somebody that's got to jump
Yeah.
in.
There's nothing when I've watched a nice. I know it's been a good movie. If I have to put some normal telly on for 10 minutes before I go to bed,
Bit of happiness before bed, yeah.
I can't. If
exactly the same,
if
mate.
I watch The Conjuring, I could not just go to bed.
Sometimes I watch those ghost adventures, the shows,
Yeah, I
ghost
watch them.
shows. And I'm the same. I'll put something funny on for 10 minutes before I go to bed.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
You
Just to clear the
Just
air.
when you mentioned about the ghosts, have you been into some of the Perth places and followed the ghost hunters? Mark has
I actually had my first experience of ghosts in Australia, mate.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's where I've not had one yet, but I went ghost hunting about 2 months ago.
I had a really bad one, right?
Did you?
Yeah.
What, you actually saw a
Very,
ghost?
very bad. I didn't actually see it, but...
Oh, this is now we're talking.
never seen it because they're not.
So where were you at?
When I met my wife, she had a house that she was living in with another person. They'd split up, and she had to sell the house before we left because it was something to do with them. And I was there doing things at the house, fixing and repairing things, and just little things was happening there. And then we started staying there overnight because we had a lot of stuff to do, and the things that was happening.
Well, come on, and you've got to be specific,
what were
mate.
you- what were
I
you-
mean, I have to say, I'm a complete skeptic. So if you're going to try and convince me,
Well, I was
you
the
need to give me
same.
you need to give me
I was
some.
exactly the
Is,
same, mate.
is this what got you into
Yeah. Yeah, pretty
watching
much.
ghost stuff on TV?
Yeah. And the scary thing is, some of the stuff I've seen on shows now, like the really evil, bad stuff, is stuff that happened.
Right, come on and elaborate.
So-
You need to elaborate now, man. What
So
happened?
basically, my wife had a house, and it was in Beachborough.
An old house.
Old house, 80s. The house, you had the long corridor up the centre, the kitchen was at the back, and then you had the living room at the front, and then the bedrooms went like this, the corridor, right? So my wife had gone to help somebody, and I was in the house on my own. I'd just been up on the roof doing some stuff up there. It was like 40 degrees. I was like, I got to get in the house, I'm boiling. So I went down, and I lay on the tile floor, because it was cold, and I was drinking a drink. I just felt funny, the corridor was like there, and I just looked at the corridor, and I just felt like something was walking up the corridor. It was really weird, mate. So anyway, so my wife, she keeps telling me, oh, this house is haunted. I'm like, yeah, okay. And we're there, so last night we were there, we're doing everything, and she goes out the back and she hangs the washing up, and next thing I know, she flies right through the house, just runs, full pelt through the house, out through the front door, and I'm in the kitchen like, what the hell? So anyway, I walked outside and I said, what's wrong? And she goes, it jumped on my back. I said, what jumped on your back? What are you talking about? She goes, it jumped on my back. I told you this house is haunted. I'm like, oh, okay, right on. So I said, all right, well, look, pack the stuff in the car. First thing tomorrow morning, we'll go. Yeah, okay, she goes. So anyway, we go into this bedroom, and every night you could see the front door from the bedroom. And I don't know, I just kept looking at the door every night that we was lying there. And I said, shut the door. I said, I don't want to look at the front door. So she shut the door, we turned the lights off, just dropping off to sleep. And you know when you got a frying pan and you bang it on the floor, like, boom! It's like if you hit it on the ground and then a scraping sound like concrete all the way down the corridor, mate. And I got up, I was like, I literally thought somebody had broken into the house. It was that loud. I opened the door, shouting out the door, turned all the lights on, checked all the doors. And I went back to the bedroom and I said, oh, look, we got to go. And she goes to me, nah, it's all right. She goes, don't worry. And
But she weren't fazed by that.
I looked at her face and there was just something about her. It was like, why is she smiling? She was actually smiling at me. Oh, let's just go to sleep. She said, we'll leave in the morning. And I said, oh, we'll just leave the light on. I didn't want to turn the light off. And then I was lying there.
I bet you thinking she's going to get you.
Oh, mate. I was lying there. I looked over at her and just the look on her face. I was like, nah, I can't do this. I said, get the stuff in the car. Let's go. So we jumped.
Petrol. I'm torching this place before we leave. Burn it to the
So
ground.
I went out to the car, and out the front of the house there was a tree, and it was like autumn, so there was all leaves all over the floor. And I'm putting stuff in the back of the car, and I can hear these footsteps going shh, 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 over the leaves. And I'm like, what the hell? So then I keep putting stuff in the car, and I can hear it again, shh, 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 coming towards me. I'm like, oh God. So anyway, I walked off the driveway onto the footpath, and then it stopped. And she came out the front door. And she
So
goes,
it wasn't your wife.
no, she was in the house. So she comes out and I said, she goes to me, why are you on the end of the driveway? I said, just reverse the car and I'll get in the car by here. So we got in the car and she had, what was it, old Toyota Sleeker. It was like an 80s one. And we literally drove 5 kilometres down the road. I burst out crying. I had tears running down my eyes and the engine blew up in the car.
Bizarre. I'm not sure you can
It was
explain
the
it.
weirdest thing.
That's bizarre, yeah.
So she's Catholic because she's Italian. So basically we went to the cathedral a couple of days later and priest blessed us because we was getting on a plane and I didn't want the plane to go down for any reason.
So what did she say about the experience after she'd left? Like how she was smiling in bed when
She didn't know.
she didn't remember?
Nah.
So you said like that
Yeah,
noise
I said,
in the house.
why
and-
you was smiling at me? No, she heard the noise and everything else, but nothing after that. I said, you were smiling at me. You was just looking at me really weird. It just didn't look like you.
Crazy.
Jeez.
And then
I don't know what to say to that.
So was she okay like when you left the house then?
Yeah, yeah. It was, and like I said, it was really strange. I just burst out in tears.
He was like full of emotion.
And I looked at her and I said, "What? Why am I crying?" And then the car goes, I'm like,
So what did you do then? Just get out.
just got out of the car,
Torch the
for
car
the
as well.
RAC.
Another gallon of petrol in the car, torch that as well. That's
Yeah, it
scary.
was-
And you up until that point, you've never even experienced anything like that.
didn't even believe in it, mate.
No.
I
I
don't
mean,
really-
I'm listening to you, and I know we've just met, so I don't really have to trust you. Just met you, but I'm like that. Just I'm not. I don't buy any it, but there's no explanation for any. So
Yeah, yeah.
you know, so that's
It's
it.
when-
I mean,
it's
And
when-
like I said,
crazy.
I watched some of the shows after,
Yeah.
and there's certain things that's happening on some of those where it's bad stuff that runs in line with everything I experienced. The people who live next door were saying that they had a family there and they were really abusive to their children.
Yeah, but it might be, if they're abusive to the children, it might just be
Yeah.
the negative energy that we're putting that on them. They might not necessarily have been bad people. That could have happened to you, couldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I love all that stuff.
you two are
Do you know-
crazy.
do you know
Can you
what?
experience it, right?
I went on a ghost hunt to Midland Town Hall,
Oh, yeah.
and thinking back, there was stuff that they said was all supernatural, and I personally didn't experience anything. You get a feeling, but then I think you get a feeling because you're walking around it dark, you're in a really old house, you're talking about ghost stories, so it's
Yeah.
like it's building up in you and nothing's actually happening. And then we had this woman that were like she was like the horse. She was a counsellor for so many years, and she actually did ghost hunting, but she was like a medium as well.
Yeah.
And she was telling us everything that was happening. She could see people when we were there.
So
but-
she was telling you she could see people when you're there,
yeah.
but you couldn't see them.
No, she could connect to them, she could see them.
What a load of shit,
And
honestly.
but I couldn't feel any of it. And there was this one girl there, and she couldn't see anything. But do you know, like they're just really susceptible and to me a bit gullible.
But
So they were
it's
soaking it
I
all
don't
in.
know if it's necessarily gullible. I know what you're saying right enough, but like you go there with a preconceived idea.
Yeah.
So you go want to see ghosts.
Yeah.
If somebody tells you to see ghosts,
Yeah,
you're
but
going to see a ghost.
Yeah, but
right?
I didn't see anything.
No, because you're not an idiot.
Yeah, but
right?
yeah, but when
you went
it's-
along for a bit of laugh.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah,
go.
but
It's
I
like
was-
people go to mediums and they go along. They want to speak. They want some kind of feedback.
You want connection, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. So they go looking for it, and it's easy to find it.
Yeah, but I was a bit sceptical. I were a bit. I didn't see anything, but at the end, I was like a bit. Not frightened, maybe. Well, I probably were frightened because everyone were leaving. There were only about 8 of us there, and the two women that actually hosted it, they were like sat behind. We were all
Counting cash.
no, we were all.
Was it free?
To be honest,
Was it free?
um,
If it's not free, it's a fraud.
no, it weren't.
As far as
it
I'm
weren't-
concerned, like.
No, because they're giving up the time, aren't they? They're going around town hall. They have to
let's
open the
not give
town
up
hall.
the-
at
I'll go and
night.
tell what
It
shit
weren't a
the ghosts
lot.
and
It was something like $20 or something.
$20 is a lot of money. 8 people, $160 for an hour's work.
Yeah, for 2 people. It's
What,
not-
$80 each?
Yeah, it weren't. It was like 3 or 4 hours.
Well, there you go, even at that.
So it weren't-
Somebody do
it
a
weren't
bit of
good.
hobby.
Yeah, but
Spread the word. Next week there's 40 people there.
no, it weren't that. I don't know. When everyone were going, like I thought, I've got to get out of here because I didn't want to be the last one. And then,
Casey started talking to you.
well, no, because like I don't know, they were a bit different with me. I don't know
It's
why.
because you're no gullible fool.
Because it is scary when you walk
It's
around.
no come on.
It is.
It's no, there's no way you wouldn't. If you and I went down there right now and you had no idea about ghosts and shit like that, there's no way in this earth you'd be scared about it. You just walk around there and we'd have a chat and whatever. You go there and somebody says there's ghosts in here, you go,
I think
first
it's when
thing
you
do,
walk.
you're looking
Yeah,
for ghosts.
I think it's when you're walking around somewhere that's pitch black as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is a different feeling.
Bollocks, man. I'm not buying any of that shit.
It is.
No,
It's just your senses, though,
Yeah.
making you feel
exactly what I'm
scared, even
saying.
though there's nothing there because it's dark.
Yeah. And so that's what you need. You just need one little seed. And then every time it's like the mediums and all these cold reading stuff, you only need a couple of hits and you start believing it. You forget all the misses.
I know, but
you have 10 misses in one hit and you'll remember.
Yeah, but I've got a
them.
friend. I've got a friend that's like that can see things, and she doesn't like. It's not like she's saying it for brag, or she don't. She's not like boasting that she can do it. She just says she can. She can like. She doesn't see things with her eyes. She sees it in her mind.
Yeah.
So
What
if
does she see?
if something's happened, like she's working in an office in Perth, and she could see like these children like doing, and it was like an orphanage. She can see it in her head. She can't really see it with her eyes.
So does she know it was an orphanage to begin with?
No,
She had no idea it was an
No.
orphanage. Now she's seen it. And was it an orphanage?
she googled it after, and she
Come
she
bullshit,
found
no
it.
way.
Yeah, but she was being genuine. She
Yeah,
weren't
but
telling
there's
me.
genuine. Somebody told her it was an orphanage, and then she sees it's an orphanage, then she googles it and finds it as. It's all subliminal messages, man. In the back head, no way it's fucking true.
Thing is, you can't convince someone. I think for
No, you can't.
paranormal, you have to see it.
Yeah.
And I only believe in ghosts because I've seen them.
Yeah.
I don't
When
know if
did you
it's.
see a ghost?
My mum lived in Blackpool.
Was she a ghost?
No,
So who did you see? You saw a ghost? Yeah, genuinely. I mean, I'm not wanting to
Yeah,
make funny.
genuinely.
You have genuinely reckoned you've seen a ghost.
yeah, genuinely.
Fuck off.
I have.
Right, okay.
When mum lived in Blackpool, she lived in a cafe on Church Street in 244 Church Street, Blackpool, and it was a cafe. But during the war, it was opposite Salvation Army. And it used to be what do you call it? Like a nun, not where the nuns hang out. Besides
Convent.
being a church, they just treated all the war after the war. That's where they brought all the war veterans and kind of looked after them. And some died, some didn't. So that's what it used to be. And my mum never really went into detail too much when we were there because we'd never have stayed there. Because I were only 11, my little brother was 7, my older brother were like 15. But I think when he were about 17, 18, he lived there permanently. We just went at summertime. And we always knew there was something, but we never really knew what because no one ever talked about it much because you didn't want to make it real. And I was lied in bed, and I remember I was looking out of the bedroom window, and it was 2-story. There was nothing on outside, and I seen this figure walking across the glass, and it was a reflection in the same room that I was in, and there was no one else in the room.
But it's a window.
Yeah.
So it was outside then.
No, but it was a reflection of someone walking past the window, but it was 2 stories up, so no one could have been walking past, and it looked like a reflection of somebody in the room, and I was in the room, and there were no one in the room with me, and I wasn't asleep.
Okay, oh, that's all right. I would see a ghost and I would explain it away, right?
Yeah.
Because that's me, I'm total skeptic, right? But, you know, and I've got a mate who's almost the exact same. I'll tell his story. I'm like you, don't like telling second-hand stories, but he told me a story one night. He came in, again, for the pub, had a few beers, but fairly, wasn't drunk, and he's a real sensible guy. But he came in, and he swears he had a cup of tea with his, I think it was his mum or his dad who had passed. Oh, his mum, actually, his mum had passed away, and he had a cup of tea with her who'd passed away, and then he went to bed, up the next morning, and there was 2 cups sitting, right? Because he thought he dreamt it.
Yeah.
Where the 2 cups are sitting.
Oh, so it was actually, when he woke up, it was real.
Well, that's it. He thought, he knew, well, he said, I knew it happened. But then when I went to bed and got up, I thought, fuck, I've just dreamt that, right? And then he came downstairs, there was 2 cups sitting. Still don't believe it, but look, since we're on it, I'm going to tell you my one then, right?
Have you got one?
Yeah, but it's not a ghost net, because I mean,
Was it
whatever it might be, I don't know.
a werewolf?
Right? No, it wasn't a werewolf. I'll tell you what it was, right?
I don't believe in werewolves, by the way.
Right, this is a bit kind of personal one. I'm going to tell you something because I don't mind. It's a nice story. Dad passed away. We all got taken up to the hospital, and he was in this, like, we were in the corridor, and there was a little side ward. In fact, it was in a room. He had his own room kind of thing at the end, and I would put him in there, I think. So the family wanted to go, and I didn't want to see him. Right, I'm like, no, I don't need to see him. I saw him earlier on. I want to remember him like that kind of thing. This is something. It's 13, 14, no, it was Mason's 13, so it was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see him. And then they sort of all went in, dribs and drabs. Nurse came out, made us all a cup of tea and stuff. That was nice. And they went in, and then they were going away, and I was standing there, I'm like, maybe I should go in and see him. You know? And I'm not particularly religious, but I was asking somebody for help anyway, right? And I could, can hear myself asking them out loud in my head. I'm not really sure, but I was saying, fuck, somebody help me. Give me strength to do what I need to do here or whatever. And I shit you not, right? Now, I'm no, just because I'm telling you this doesn't mean I'm a believer, right? But the door of his room, it was just like push-pull door kind of thing, and it wobbled like that, back and forth. So this time I'm like, a bit emotional, bit of wreck, and I looked at it and thought, nah, it's not real. And then I was still sort of talking to whoever I was talking to, God or whatever it was, and I asked him again, and sure enough the door moved again. And I went in and saw my dad, and that was it. But it was
Also, it was like welcoming you in kind of thing.
It was like, well, I didn't want to go in.
So you were stood outside of the door.
Give me strength to make up my mind what I should do here, right? Cause I'm thinking, because my brother said as he left, he said maybe we should go and see him, big man. I said, I don't know, right? And then because he put that in my head, I'm like, well, maybe I should go and see him. I'd already decided. I mean, when I make my mind up, I'm usually, well, that's good. I've made up. I'm going to stick with that. I'll be happy. But maybe I should think about it. And I didn't want to have any regrets and stuff, so I asked somebody for help. Because to me in the morning, 4 in the morning, not a soul, there was not a soul.
So the door couldn't have moved on its own?
It didn't move on its own, and there's no windows or open windows, and it was a massive corridor, and there's no windows open in his room and stuff.
And you're still not a believer?
Well, that's what cracks me up, right? People who don't believe in ghosts, they've always got a ghost story to tell.
Yeah, it was crazy. Look, that's it. I mean, look, again, it's like I'm explaining that.
Yeah.
Because it suits my narrative there. I wanted to go in, I got an answer, right?
Yeah.
So if that was a ghost that gave me it, or if it was God that gave me it, or if it was my dad that gave me it, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
think when I say,
but I'm not. There was no advantage
to
me to tell you that story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm
just something that happened.
I'm arguing my own case here, really. So I mean, it just happened. But these people tell you stories and tell you, I see a ghost, like fuck off.
To be honest, when I say ghost, I think people say ghost, and they should just be saying paranormal, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Something that's unexplainable. Have you experienced anything then after that?
Yeah, quite a few times.
Have you?
Yeah.
What, going looking for it?
I bought my wife a camera with a night scope on, because she started watching all the TV shows.
Oh, does she watch them as well?
Yeah, well, she's really into that stuff.
Oh, you're lucky. My wife.
What do you mean you're lucky?
My wife's not interested at all, so I have to watch them all on my own.
So I got
a new mate now. New.
Dianella, should we do like one night a week?
Yeah.
Like a ghost marathon. Sorry, go on.
So my mum and dad come over Like, they usually come every year or every 2 years. And the year that they came over, my cousin and 3 of her friends were killed in a car crash. And my mum, she's like really into that stuff as well. And she goes into the bedroom the one night, and I turned the camera on, I put the night scope on, and zoomed it back out. And she goes to me, Louise, she goes, if you're here, just show me, And I'm standing there going, come on, seriously? And I'm not joking, mate, this ball of light, it just went round in a twist around there, and I went up to the ceiling.
Did you get that on camera as well? Did you record it?
I didn't have it recording. I know, unbelievable, mate. I wish I did have it recording. It was unbelievable.
There's a lot of people talk about those orbs. I've got another mate who talks about them all the time. He reckons he's seen like little orbs, sort of tennis-shaped sized balls, lighting just spinning around and stuff.
Well, they talk about them a lot on. You very rarely see them though on these ghost stories. Yeah, but if you see them, well, you saw it.
Well, Neil saw it, but he had the camera. Mate, could be 100 things.
And another thing is,
did you see it? Real?
Did you see it through the
I could
camera?
see it in my eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, only the camera.
Only
picked
through
it
the
up.
camera.
Right.
But it definitely wasn't an insect or anything like that, because it was a ball, mate, and it was bright, and it just went.
If only you were
I'm already
recorded.
thinking it's fucking. I mean, it's a night vision, so everything that got heat on it lights up.
I had a very similar experience to you, but with your dad. I was going through all my immigration stuff, and what had happened is I came in on a spousal visa, and 18 months had gone past, and I was thinking to myself, I haven't had an interview yet, because you're supposed to go for an interview and finalise all your stuff. Yep. And at the time, I was working at the police academy in Joondalup. And one afternoon, 2 of the cops came over, and they both grabbed me by the arm, and I said, what's going on? And he goes, we got to take you to the office. I'm like, why? He goes, because the immigration are looking for you. And I'm like, what? Why? I've been through some things in this country. Eh? So they take me into the office, and there's this guy from the immigration on the phone, and he goes, Mr. Bees, he goes, we've been looking for you for quite some time. I said, what do you mean you've been looking for me? You should know where I am. You got my address. And he reads out the address he's got, and I'm like, oh my God, that's my mother-in-law's address, because we stayed with her for like a month.
What, you forgot?
and I forgot to change the address. So anyway, I told him, and my mother-in-law's Italian, so she doesn't speak English properly. Well, she's not too bad. And she was getting the cards from the immigration, looking at them and throwing them straight in the bin. Didn't know what they were. So anyway, the guy goes to me, I can kind of see what happened. He goes, because I spoke to your mother-in-law today. She says, look, we've cancelled your visas, and you're going to have to come in tomorrow. So I had to go down to the city, and they put me in immigration detention. And they separated me and my wife, like she's from here, but they interviewed us separately. And then when it was all over, they said, right, we put you on a bridging visa, and you're going to have to go through the whole process all over again. I'm like, oh, great. So I had to pay the, $2,000 or whatever it was, fill all the paperwork in again, start it all over again. And one of the things on it was the police clearance. So I phoned up the police and I said to them, I need a clearance for the immigration. And he goes, at the moment, we've got like 11-week wait. And I said, well, basically, they want one in 2 to 3 weeks. And he goes, well, I'll try my best for you, he said, but at the moment, it's 11 to 12 weeks. I was like, okay. So anyway, I go home that night, and I said to my wife, I said, we're in the shit. I said, I'm going to get kicked out of the country, and you can't come back for, 3 or 4 years if you get kicked out. So the next morning, I got up, and I went down to the city, because I had to do some stuff for the immigration. And I was down by the cathedral, so I can't remember what it's called, in the middle of the city. And I just walked in there, and I was like, oh, God. So I went down to the altar, and you got the Virgin Mary and that down there. I pulled the cushion down and kneeled on it.
Are you religious?
Nah. Not at all.
Desperate times.
Desperate times. And I kneeled down and I just shut my eyes and I went, oh, Nan, because my Nan had died just before we came over. I said, oh, if you can help me now, I'm in the shit. I said, I really, really need your help. So that night, I went to bed and I had this dream. I think it was a dream. I don't know. And it was my grandmother. And she came and she touched my hair because she always used to play with my hair and she used to do this to my hand. And she just sat on the side of the bed and she goes, everything will be all right, she goes. I was like, okay. And anyway, I woke up
I've got chills.
3 days later, mate, the police clearance was in the post. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, there you go. That's
3 days.
it. Yeah.
Like, wow.
Look, I mean, see, the thing is, whether you believe or not, right? That's good though, isn't it? So there's no harm done there. So what's the harm in believing? That's my view on everything, really. If it's not causing anybody any harm, who cares? You know, believe what you like. You know,
It's like
And
everything.
that's a
You
nice
just
story.
don't preach to people.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Whatever you believe is whatever you believe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, look, if everybody thought that, the world would be a better place for a start. You know.
Like I said, because of the stuff that happened with the immigration.
Yeah.
And then once I got cleared, which was like another 2 years, then they said, "Oh, you got to stay in the country now for a full 2 years to get your citizenship."
Yeah.
So I went 7 years without going home.
Right.
Oh yeah, okay. So
And-
you couldn't leave then? I thought you could still
I
leave.
could,
You had to be on a different visa.
you had to get like what they call it, resident return
right,
visa.
okay.
Or
Oh
something.
yeah.
But because I wanted to just get it over, I was like,
Yeah.
I'll just do it.
That's the way to do
But
it.
that 7 years then freaked me out.
Were it
I was
tough?
like, oh yeah, it was really hard, mate.
It's a big decision to come and do it on your own as well, like, you know, and leaving all your family. I mean, I came over with my family. I say that all the time, my mates and stuff. It's like, you know, we didn't really leave family back home. I brought them with me, my wife and my 3 kids. You
Yeah.
know, and I think it's different for guys as well. I mean, Lorna probably wouldn't say that she brought her family with her, you know, because she left her mum, her dad, and her gran and grandpa, or her grandpa anyway. And but guys are slightly different.
I'm glad I came over because like it kind of changed me because I was always kind of bit timid, and then when you get lumped in the middle of a place like Perth, and you got like just enough money to buy a cheap car or whatever and live for a month or so, you're like, all right, I better start moving, otherwise I'm dead.
Did you find that like things happened like for the good once you got here?
Not at first. Not at first. It was hard at first.
Yeah.
But now I got 100 times better life than anything I would have had back at home.
I think everybody's slightly different, but with most of the guys, well, the younger guys that came over on their own and stuff, they've been the same as yourself, you know, come a bit tough and struggle. We struggled a lot. Well, we never struggled, but we rented for about 4 years or something like that. It took us a bit of time to get up and running. We didn't want to buy anywhere to begin with anyway because we weren't necessarily going to stay that long, but yeah, it takes me a while to find your feet and stuff like that.
Oh God, yeah.
And you've got to, you're right, you've got to put yourself out there, and you know, if you're not really outgoing, you kind of got to make yourself outgoing, or you're not going to survive.
Yeah,
You're
you do
gonna
have
end up back
you do
home.
have to change yourself a little bit, don't you? Because
Yeah.
otherwise,
God,
you'd never meet anybody.
Well, when I got up the next morning, I can remember walking outside the house and, you know, looking at the palm trees and thinking, Christ, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do now. And I walked down to the Dianella Plaza, sat in McDonald's, eating a breakfast, and I'm thinking, should I get back on the plane?
Yeah, just for a bit of
I
normality.
was literally going to get back on the plane the next day. Australia was a lot different back then as well, 20 years
yeah,
ago,
of
mate.
course, yeah.
It's not like Little Britain now.
Did it seem a bit backwards when you first got here, like in comparison to home?
80s.
Yeah,
It was like being in the 80s, yeah.
Or was it like a time warp?
Yeah, and you go to New Zealand, it's the 70s.
people say that all the time. Actually.
Yeah, it is, mate.
So how long did your wife's Italian, but is she
She was born here.
Yeah, she's born here.
Yeah.
Australian Italian. Yeah.
And I pretty much know more about Perth than she does.
Yeah. I think that's what happens. When you come and you try and, well, I don't know, I tried to sort of blend in and become as Australian as I possibly could.
Yeah,
you know.
definitely.
I don't particularly want to be an expat, really. I mean, we've got the expat podcast, but it's so we can chat to other people that are like us.
Well, it's just something in common, just so you get people in.
yeah,
Because at the end of the
exactly.
day, we could get Aussies in and just chat because we're not doing anything different.
No, exactly,
It's just
yeah.
that familiarity and connection you've got
Yeah.
straight away.
If you say to people back home, like, oh, I'm living in Australia, and they'd go, oh, I'd love to live in Australia, but I don't think I could do it. It's
Or do you
that
just
type
think
of
they've
attitude.
got like a negative
yeah,
attitude.
it's always
about
like,
it.
I
Do you know-
don't think I could do it.
Like a
I
lot of
think
people,
I-
Scottish people are exactly the
I
same.
think
like,
that's across the board though. Like
Yeah.
my brothers have said, my brothers have both said it, but it's just it's just going and doing it, isn't it? I think a lot of people.
But even like all the years I've been here, only my brother, my mother and father, and one cousin have been here in 20 years.
Is that right? And you've been
It's
back
like,
twice a year.
Why wouldn't you come here? Like, you free accommodation. It's just as cheap to jump on a plane, same as what you pay to go to Porthcawl or Barry Island. Or it's like £1,000 now for a week in a caravan.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah, it's not
Costs
cheap,
money,
is it?
yeah.
Why
And you come
wouldn't you
here and
come?
you've got family here and stuff, and even just come. I mean, I've been surprised. We've had my aunt's been over, Lorna's mum and dad were over, and then Lorna's mum's been a couple of times, and I've only had one of my mates, him and his missus came over. It was really nice, but I'm surprised we've not had more visitors, to be honest as well. But most of our friends have got kids and stuff, which
I
is
think
hard.
it's when when they got families, isn't it? Because they want,
it's expensive.
like coming here as well. It's like, I don't know. It's not like a holiday either, because they're staying with family, and I think a lot of people don't want to stay with other families, do they?
Yeah, but I think you're probably that as well, Mark. But I mean, coming and just staying with us, it's a long way to come to not go and see some of the, because you're like, I'll never be back probably.
Yeah, you
want to go and explore other places and stuff.
Yeah, you won't really come to Perth and not want to see all of Australia, would you?
Yeah, though that I think most, like our friends that came over, that's exactly what they did. We were the last stop. They went 3 weeks, did 2 weeks round about Australia, and came for us for a week.
Yeah.
And our other friends, they did the same. They only came for a couple of nights actually, but they did the same. Travel around, because it's a long way to come. You want to see everything.
Had you been to Perth prior to your backpacking kind of thing?
No, I've never been here.
Came over, met a girl, boom.
Yep, that was it, mate. It was over.
So when you say you went back and stuff, how long were you back?
So we went back to the UK for nearly 3 years.
So you're a bit of a ping pong pom then, Neil.
Yeah, kind of.
Back and forth, yeah. So did you go back with your wife then? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was on a backpacking visa,
Yeah.
so I had to go back.
Oh, yeah,
So
of course,
what did she
yeah.
think of the UK then when you were back?
She loved the UK, she just didn't like the weather.
Exactly, and that's why we're here.
That's what it's. Yeah.
that's
She
100%
loves
why I'm
my
here.
family and all my
Yeah.
friends. She likes the social aspect of it. You're going out to the pubs and concerts and everything, and everybody's always together and doing things together, whereas people here are more,
Recluse.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you get the odd. Well, when we first got here, we used to do a lot of things with people and stuff in groups. People go to parts of the group and things like that. That's kind of died off a little bit now, certainly. But yeah, in the UK, we definitely do more of that, hang around. But it's not, you come in now, people put the cars in the garage, shut the door, and that's it. Because it's the same in the UK. People come in now, they don't know who their neighbours are and stuff like that. I don't think there's much difference.
I think it's just a cultural thing everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think most people, like you, I don't know, people would sooner look at the mobile phone when someone's walking past and actually make eye contact and say hello.
Yeah.
It's like an excuse for just to avoid people, isn't it?
Lauren and I were talking about that the other day. We were at the beach and there was 2 or 3 couples walked past, and I always say hello to anybody's walking past.
I always say,
because my dad used to always do it, so I just do it. And I said to Lauren, that's 4 couples or 3-4 couples that's walked past, and only the guy has acknowledged the hello. The women just head down, and I said, I wonder if it's a woman thing.
I think it is, because Karina and like my daughter and my wife, they'll say, "Why'd you say hello to everyone?"
I'm the same.
Because I say, "How you doing? You all right? You all right?"
Yeah.
I said, what are you saying that for? You don't know them.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm out
just being polite.
Yeah.
I'm out working in the morning, and I'm like, "Good morning," and they just walk straight past you. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Now some people are strange. Some people are like, oh, it makes a day.
I do it to embarrass me sometimes. When my dad used to do it to me, and I'd do it sometimes when I'm with my dad, and there'd be someone at the side of the road. I'd open window, beat me arm, and I'd say, "Ken, how you doing?" Not a clue if he's called Ken, and they always wave back with like a bemused look on the face. Who's that?
Yeah, make somebody's day, mate. That's it. Yeah.
But my wife can't handle my talking, because we was at the football on Friday with the Eagles, and this old lady sat next to me, and I was talking to her for nearly 3 hours. And she's like, "You haven't talked to me all the way through the game."
Yeah.
That old woman, you'd have probably made it there, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was some smutty stuff said, mate. So, yeah. She had a smile on her face when she left.
So have you got? Do you go to all the games then, West Coast Eagles?
No. I don't particularly like football that much. It's more her.
I've tried it. I don't. I can't get into it.
It's too long. Do you got the Glory?
I've never actually been to a Perth. I actually got a Perth Glory top. I've never even been to a game, which is bizarre, really.
It's a lot better quality than it was.
I should go to a
lot
game,
better.
actually.
It's got a good atmosphere now as well, because
Yeah.
you got all the shed, and you got everybody singing and chanting.
Do you go to the games often then, or Perth Glory?
Yeah, I'll go to maybe half the games in a year.
Hey, you'll have to give us your shout.
Yeah.
Rather than sit there on my
Couple
top
of
looking
beers.
like a loser. Because
Yeah,
Karina and me
if
were
we're going to
like
make a night out, yeah, I'll definitely go to that. I'm just, I wouldn't. I came to Australia to not particularly deliberately but trying to avoid football with my kids, because in Scotland it wasn't so much it was shit. It was just religious bigotry. I've not got any time for that. You know.
Yeah, but I know that's
That's all they grew up with. And I'm watching. I mean, Rangers they won the league there, and then they beat Celtic last game and stuff. And it's just that's all the Facebook feed is, and it's like, and some of it's banter and a bit of laughing. I'm sure most of the guys I know that's what it is. But there's so much hatred. I have no time for that, man.
Yeah,
That's
but
just a game of football, for goodness sake. You know.
I think is that just Scotland though, or just with Celtic and Rangers?
No, it's everywhere. I mean,
because you don't really. I mean, it's not really because thing is in England there isn't really any religious kind of.
No, but they still hate each other just for other reasons. It's not always. I mean, the football, the religion's an excuse because that's how the two teams started, and it's certainly not helped it. But I mean,
I'm a Liverpool fan, and I know Liverpool and United have got a bit of. But I think it's calmed down a bit. It's calmed down a lot now. I think football's more like a family thing, isn't it? It's not like it used to be. It's nowhere near as bad.
I don't know. I get the sense who you go to.
It's not.
Years ago, you used to have all the firms, and have you ever seen the documentaries of the firms? Oh my god,
the casuals, football casuals.
It's not as bad. I remember once I went to a Liverpool game, and I was lucky for going cop when it was all standing, and we got out, and I don't know who we were playing, but you were petrified because you wanted to get back to Lime Street train station as quick as you frigging could because you didn't want to cross any of the fans because you knew they'd be wanting to kick off and have a fight.
Yeah, I can remember going to see. I took my wife to see Poland and Wales. It was like one of the World Cup qualifiers.
I think I went to that game.
I'm not joking, mate. The Polish are right up in the corner, like a little block of all the stadium was all the Welsh. I was like, okay. And then they had to let them out first.
International games are different, aren't they? Really,
they
were much
good.
more friendly. Yeah.
Yeah, because I went to the same time. I went watching Brazil, and that were amazing. For have all that atmosphere.
You know when Man United played here against
recently
Glory and Fulham? No, not Fulham. Leeds. I went to that game, and then I was actually going home the week after, so I went to the one in Cardiff. It was Man United and Inter Milan, and the atmosphere in Perth was 100 times better.
Was it better?
Yeah. It was amazing.
Yeah, but you get all the fans out that are proper die-hard fans, don't you?
Yeah, it was great.
Makes the earth stand up on the back of your neck, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like I went to, they have them every year, but I think probably about 4 years ago, they had like at the Hyatt Regency in Perth. They have like what's it called now? 5 times. It's a charity in Liverpool, and they get like the Liverpool legends out. So they had like who did they have out? Jamie Carragher.
Oh, I remember seeing that.
Yeah. Well, they had Diddy Man, Robbie Fowler, and a couple of others I can't think. But every year they get different ones in. But when you go in, I think there's like it holds 5,000 people in this conference room. And it's just like being at a game. You'll never walk alone. Everyone in there, hairs on back of your neck is stood up.
It's amazing.
And they're telling all these stories, and it's quite personal. And you don't even get that at a game, really. But when they're singing, it's a good experience. And it shows you how much money's in Perth as well, because they were doing charities, and holy shit, they were auctioning off shirts.
So is this in Perth, Mark?
This is in Perth. Sorry.
Yeah,
this is in Perth, and they're auctioning off like posters, signed shirts, all memorabilia, and some of the shit, it was like hundreds of thousands of dollars, an absolute mint that night.
Even like the average person in Perth, like you wouldn't believe how much money they got. I work for people, mate. They got big houses, and they've got cleaners, gardeners, people to come and clean the oven.
Now you can't get that at home, can you? I've at a job today in Hillary's, and this house was massive, a 3-story house, and it's in this little exclusive kind of cul-de-sac. And I talked to him on the phone, and I couldn't get his accent because he sounded a bit Aussie, but I weren't too sure. Anyway, when I got there, I started talking to him. He's from bloody Sale in Manchester, and he's living in this house, and it's like a damn.
It's
like a damn mansion. I said, "Can you imagine putting this house in Sale?" He's like that. No, it'd be a hotel. Like you're saying, an average person here can have an extraordinary life.
God, yeah.
Let's wrap up with that.
It's been good.
Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you for coming.
No worries, guys. It's been a pleasure.
It's been really good. Thank you.
Thanks very much. It's been a pleasure, mate. Thanks very much.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed the show as much as we did, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Expats and Corkats, and hit that subscribe button.